Если кто-то стоит рядом, его будет стать за тенью. Воу, мне нужен дьявола контакт. Я фигурю все под дуром, будто это катаракта. Если что-то не по кайфу, посылая это нахер. Я настакал себе ядами, веду себя как вайпер. Утрачу счет убийств, тут явно нужен статреки. Числа как мистер Бист, я беру что захочу, но я не в силах стать доволен. Сзади батальон ублюдков, черепа по всему полю. Долбаем, мне не больно, вокруг эскады грома, они сгущают бойню. И тысяча масок привели меня к тому, что я ублюдок. Если ты играешь с нами, то ты тоже в этом пульте. Облегаю словно змеи, обвивающие сталь. Заражаешь кучим ядом, выгружая в астрал. Я не мог быть рядом с ними, и я просто бежал. Завостил время на суку, и мне реально еще жаль.
Можно сейчас дышать?
У моей такти сирокура, лепестки вокруг кинжала. Я реально поменялся, мое время дорожает. Нужно многим больше вида, а сука, как жаль. Апгрейд, next step, я больной, как Бекизава. Лезвия заточенные, режу словно левый. Капли крови на катании, моя музыка релеве. Нахуя горских секунд на мне так похуй плюс хейн. Если кто-то стоит рядом, его будет остаться тенью. Воу, мне нужен дьявола контакт. Я фигурю все под дуром, будто это катаракта. Если что-то не по кайфу, посылая это нахер. Я настакал себе ядами, веду себя как вайпер. Утрачу счет убийств, тут явно нужен статреки. Числа как мистер Бист, я беру что захочу, но я не в силах стать доволен. Сзади батальон ублюдков, черепа по всему полю.
Now, I know a lot of you people are very mad about the Doombringer. Honestly, I'm very sorry for you, but that was my plan all along. I just wanted to make a build video about it and then let the devs see it, you know, so I can get it out there and so the devs can nerf it. No, but seriously, I'm kidding though. To really compensate for the Doombringer nerf, what I suggest is get yourself a Calibration magazine capacity plus 60%. That will increase your mag cap. Obviously, you'll have 3 bullets when you use a shotgun. And on the helmet, you want to get a mag expansion. Basically, it's going to give you plus 30% magazine capacity. That's now 90%. Although do remember when you use this, you have to reload on 0 bullets. If you reload on 1, you will not get that 30%. Then if you're running a Lone Wolf, 1 is enough for 10% magazine capacity for the Doombringer, which obviously you will have 3 parts of Lone Wolf if you use Doombringer, or 4. And then lastly, you're gonna need 12% magazine capacity on your gun here, on your helmet, on your mask, on your gloves, on your shoes, on your top, and on your pants. With that, all together, you only need 175% magazine capacity to get 6 bullets for your Doombringer shotgun. That's the only tip I have for you, man, for the Doombringer. Alright, so we're gonna quickly jump into blueprints and go to Wildfire. I'm gonna right click at details, X to keyword, and I'm gonna read you what bullseye is. It will highlight targets for you when you apply bullseye on them, and they will be marked and outlined as blue and will suffer from vulnerability plus 8% for 12 seconds. So whenever you shoot a target, you apply bullseye, they're gonna be marked blue for you, you will have wall hacks. That's what the bullseye is, and now Wildfire is 60% chance to trigger bullseye when hitting a target. There's a 80% chance to spread the bullseye to 1 enemies within a 15-meter area. And if there's no enemies within the area, weapon damage is increased by 25% for 10 seconds. And when you hit a weak spot of marked enemies, you will gain attack plus 3% for 10 seconds, and it will stack up to 3 stacks, so 9%. That's, ladies and gentlemen, how this gun works in this game. Now, we're gonna cover this build first for PvP, and then we will get to PvE later. So let's get started with the weapon itself. You can build this gun with crit and mix it up with weak spot. I am running basically, my gun has 28.5% crit rate. So if you do run crit rate, then make sure you go with crit rate on both of your calibration, because on mine right now has only crit rate and then crit damage. So if you do run crit, make sure you go with 2 crit rates. As for precision style versus fire rate, so let's talk about that. What precision is it makes your gun shoot very slow. So precision basically is when you shoot, you'll just gain plus 25% more attack. You're always gonna have a plus 25% attack, except you lose fire rate. That's how fast your gun is gonna shoot with this precision style. Now, I have another gun that is fire rate, and it has weak spot damage. So take a look at this. That's how fast your gun will shoot with this. Now, on my helmet, I'm using a fire rate buff, so after my gun reaches half of the mag, I will lose a little bit of a damage. But I really prefer fire rate. Both work, precision works, but precision is very slow for me, and I don't like it. I like to spam my weapon, I like to, you know, maneuver around, I like to jump around. So if you'd like precision, or if you like when the gun shoots slow, you can take it. I don't like precision, so I'm going with fire rate. I tried my best, dude. I tried so hard to like precision calibration on it. I just can't. So it's personal preference. Although if you use fire rate, you will lose 15% attack, as you can see here. And what attack is basically is you're gonna negate your weapon's passive damage. So, you know, you gained 9% attack for 10 seconds up to 3 stacks. You're gonna negate all of that, so you'll do less damage basically. And attack, by the way, is not weapon damage bonus. It's neither any of these damage bonuses that you see here in your inventory. It's actually a separate multiplier. I still recommend getting precision style calibration, and if you go with full crit, then go 2 times crit rate on the calibration. If you go full weak spot, take 2 weak spots on the calibration. Now for the mod on the gun, we are using a hunter's perk, and this, what it does is once you mark enemies, these marked enemies will do 20% less damage to you. You don't want to use a vulnerability amplifier. Don't use this for PvP because, you know, it's just, you're gonna do more damage to them, but they're also gonna do more damage to you, and I prefer the enemy to do less damage to me, so I can hit my shots. I don't need more damage, you know. Vulnerability amplifier is good for PvE, so use that for PvE, and if you PvP, use the hunter's perk. What do you want to go for the substats though? You don't really want to get weapon damage. It doesn't really matter for Wildfire because the gun already has a lot of weapon damage bonus, so it's not gonna like increase your damage by much. What you want to go for is weapon damage reduce and max HP. 2 of these substats are possible, yes. You can have weapon damage reduction and max HP, but it's very rare to happen. So if you do get that, congrats, but I'm sadly trying to get it and I cannot. So hunter's perk for PvP, vulnerability for PvE. Now for the helmet, we are using basically momentum up. I know I could be using a precise strike, which will give me 36% more weak spot damage. I could be using that, and that would be great. Plus, if you use that for the sniper, this would be great. But however, I'm a little bit different. I'm using something else, and I'm using momentum up. That gives me 10% fire rate for the first 50% of the magazine capacity, and then weapon damage plus 30% for the next 50% of the magazine. So you'll only get fire rate for the first bullets, and then after that you'll just get some weapon damage. If you do use sniper though, I recommend precision strike. I don't use my sniper that much though, and if I do use sniper, then it's only far range. I don't spam my sniper close range basically. For the substats that you want to get on the momentum up or precise strike, heavily depends if you go with crit or if you go with weak spots. I am using a little bit of a crit and weak spot, so I'm going with some crit damage. And obviously you don't really want to get weapon damage again as a substat. You want to get max HP and weapon damage reduce, because a lot of people spam bingo, a lot of people spam the sniper, so weapon damage reduce is literally the most important substat over here for PvP. Damage doesn't really matter that much again because this gun has a lot of weapon damage. For the mask now, targeted strike is only when you run a crit build. I do run a crit build, so I'm going for a targeted strike. However, if you run weak spot only, then I highly suggest getting most wanted, as this again gives you plus 5% attack for 3 stacks. So in total, it'll be 15% if you stack it up. This would be good for weak spot with precision style. However, me, again, I am running myself with a targeted strike and I have crit damage on it. And for the substats, again, you want to get either crit damage, max HP weapon damage reduce, or weak spot damage, then max HP weapon damage reduce. Then for the gloves, we have a crit boost. I know I'm running a crit rate plus 15%. That gives me a little bit of crit rate. Now, I could be running a crit amplifier, which is this, as you can see, but I do not have a weapon damage reduce on it. I have only crit damage plus 15% on it. So I just decided, hey, I'm just going to run a crit boost because I have a weapon damage reduce on it. Obviously, again, as the substats, you want to get weapon damage reduce, max HP. And it doesn't really have to be crit damage. You can mix it up and get like weak spot damage boost. And of course, instead of crit boost, you could be using a crit amplifier. It all depends on the substats. If you do run a crit build, then just take whatever gives you more damage. I am running this just because this makes me more tanky. If you have a better mod, which could be crit amplifier, use the crit amplifier. Crit boost, crit amplifier, and weak spot damage boost are the 3 best mods for this gun. Obviously, if you run sniper or if you run full weak spots, then go with weak spot damage boost. I kind of hate this mod though because it has a lot of damage against normal enemies. I wish this had max HP, but this mod would be very perfect for my sniper build, and I could be using this, but really I'm not, because I'm just going with this for a little bit of more crit rate. As you saw, my weapon has 21% crit rate. And actually, that's the wrong weapon I'm wearing right now. It's the weak spot one. So with the other weapon I have, if I wore, I will have 28% crit. And with the helmet mod, which gives me 10% crit when marking enemies, I will have 38% crit instead. Yeah, it's all preference, man. If you run crit, go with crit mods. If you run weak spot, go with full weak spot mods. Now for the shoes, you want to have covered advance, obviously, or slow and steady. I did disassemble my slow and steady though, so it's gone. If you run a crit, you go with crit substats. If you run weak spot, you go with weak spot substats. I'm running this one because it has weapon damage reduced on the shoes, so that's that. Basically it. For the top piece, we have a weak spot damage boost, so I'm trying to like balance it in between. You want to have weak spot damage boost on it, or if you already have enough weak spot damage boost, then get some crit damage with a blue mod, you know? Like, let's say you want to get this one. Although you don't want to obviously get damage against normal enemies because that is shit. You want to get either weak spot damage or crit damage with better substats, like let's say weapon damage reduce, or reload speed bonus, or max HP and crit damage, something like that. By the way, I have a full tutorial on how to get blue mods and how to perfectly get the substats for them. I'll basically just link it in the comment section or pin it as well. Personally, I still prefer to go more with weak spot rather than crit, but I'm unlucky with my mods, so I have mostly more crit. But the reason why I'm going with crit so much is because when I shoot in the body, you know, I'm just gonna do double the damage instead of wide damage, so I won't be basically shooting peanuts at the enemy. But I still recommend going a little bit more weak spot than crit because the boost that you're going to be using for the bullseye is going to be important. These basically, once you proc bullseye, you're going to be hitting weak spots over and over. That's why you want to go with a little bit more weak spot than the crit itself. You know, don't focus too much on crit. I know this build is a little bit confusing, but that's the way I'm going with it. And then for the pants, since I do use sniper, you want to have a unstoppable. Or if you don't use sniper that much, then you can go with 3 strikes. What this does is first 3 hits you're going to shoot is going to have 50% weak spot damage after you reload the gun. So, you know, first 3 shots are going to be giga damage. But I'm not using this because it kind of has doggy substats, so I just rolled myself and converted this mod, and I got myself weapon damage reduced, a little bit of crit and weapon damage. It's still not great, but that's what I've been using for the sniper, since I do snipe people long range, so this does give you a little bit of weak spot damage. And you don't need that much weak spot damage if you run the sniper because people are 3 to 4 shots anyways. It depends on their damage reduce really, but you know. And that's it for the mods. That's all we're running. If you do PvE, then just go full in weak spot. You do not need crit. Alright, and this is full weak spot. This is the damage we're doing with full weak spot. You know, almost in the 200Ks. And this is with my PvP gear, by the way. Now I'm gonna equip myself PvE gear for you guys. So this is PvE gear. And yeah, 200, almost 220k. So obviously everyone knows already what to run for PvP. 4 savior parts and 1 storm viewer or whatever you like to use. 4 savior parts and 1 heavy duty for that 8% max HP. That's literally it for PvP. Obviously the key armor is Old Huntsman boots, or if you don't have a problem hitting headshots, then use, when hitting marked enemies, damage plus 30%, use the boots on the ground. These are great as well. I do use, however, Old Huntsman boots though. And for PvE, what armor you want to use is 3 Renegade, and then rest 2 could be, you could be using 2 Lone Wolf. You'll get a little bit of crit rate in the magazine, or just stick with 2 Bastille, because you will get, when HP is above 70%, you'll get weapon damage plus 10%. Or you can go with 4 Renegade and then go with 1 Bastille for PvE. And lastly, I forgot to mention my AWS that I use. I use weak spot damage on it and bolt pulling speed. Of course, if you don't use the bolts pulling speed, dude, then you're, you know, like, you won't be able to pull the bolt like this. You want to have the bolt pulling speed for the AWS. Yeah, no. And that's it for the build, guys. Literally it. Oh yeah, I was using steel ammo for that. Now for the Wildfire, for PvE, this doesn't really matter. Although I don't know why you have this. But you want to have handgun enhancement for damage. You're going to have long range enhancement for sniper. You want to have tactical combo. As well as for PvP, you will definitely want to have agility and the brawl boost for reduced damage. Sprint for more movement speed. And steady hand. And then bounty hunter. Once again, steady hand works. You don't have to be in Fortress Warfare. I'm sick of explaining this to people, but I tested this before many times. A lot of people argue with me. You don't need to be in Fortress Warfare to do that damage. Test it yourself and you will find out. And then Bounty Hunter is just, you know, after you defeat a target, you'll get some weapon damage, some weak spot damage. Lasts for 15 seconds. That's it. That's the build. And quickly, I'm going to show you my attachments I use. Muzzle Small Compensator, Compact Reflex Sight, bought from the NPC shop. Integrated laser sight obtained from looting. By the way, you can find these attachments in a map. I will provide it in the pinned comments. And then extended pistol mag also found from exploring. And then for the AWS, these are the attachments: integrated suppressor, precision optic, tactical SR mag, and that's it. New season is coming soon, and I will be making a live stream as soon as it drops. So make sure to, you know, drop a follow or subscribe. Join my Discord if you don't want to miss my live streams or anything. And as always, guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care and peace out.
Воу, не нужен дьявола контакт, я